Well, if you like Proposition 26, you'll love Proposition 27, more gambling. Proposition 27 would allow online and mobile sports wagering outside tribal lands. This is also an initiative constitutional amendment and statute, meaning it would change both the California Constitution and California law. So let's get into it. A yes vote would um, allow licensed tribes and gambling companies to offer online sports betting over the internet and on mobile devices to people 21 years or older on non-tribal lands in California. Those offering online sports betting would be required to pay the state a share of the sports bets that they make. Right? It would create a new state agency to regulate online sports betting, and it would create new ways to reduce illegal online sports betting. A no vote would mean that sports betting would continue to be illegal in California. There would be no changes in the way gambling laws are enforced in California. So, state law, let's get into it. State law currently bans sports betting in California, but does allow some gambling. So there's tribal gambling that we've been talking about, the state lottery, card clubs, horse racing, and things like that. So not all gambling is outlawed, but sports betting is. The state cannot regulate gambling on tribal lands except as allowed by federal law and federally approved compacts, or these agreements. I mentioned this when I talked about Proposition 26. What the compacts do is it's an agreement between the state and the tribes on exactly how gambling is going to be regulated. What Proposition 27 would do is it amends the California Constitution. Let me move this out of the way. It amends the California Constitution and state law to allow online sports betting over the internet and on mobile devices. People 21 years or older would be able to place bets, but they would not have to be on tribal lands to do the gambling. It allows also betting on certain athletic events and some non-athletic events as well. So you could actually bet on award shows or video game competitions. But you could not bet on high school games or elections. Okay, the political scientist in me doesn't like that. Actually, I think that's fine. In any case, the tribes that offer online sports betting will pay taxes to support state regulatory costs, but also address homelessness. This is why commercials regarding Proposition 27 focus on homelessness. It would also create a new agency to regulate online sports betting, as well as to provide ways to reduce illegal online sports betting. The proposition allows the following groups to apply for a 5-year license. Right? Tribes that have these tribal state compacts would be allowed to apply for a 5-year license to allow online and mobile sports gambling. And licensed gambling companies, those that have online sports betting in at least 10 states or territories, would also be allowed, but they have to partner with tribes that have compacts. Those who offer online or mobile betting have to pay 10% of sports bets after subtracting various costs and financial losses. So it's not just on the bets themselves, but they're allowed some deductions. The 5-year licensing fees are as follows. Tribes that want to get licensed have to pay $10 million for the 5-year license plus a $1 million fee for a renewal. The gambling businesses have to pay $100 million for the business for the licensing fee, and then $10 million to get their renewal. The revenues would be put into the California Online Sports Betting Trust Fund that I'm just going to call the fund past this point. After paying the regulatory costs, the remaining funds would be used as follows. 85% would go for homelessness and for gambling addiction programs. 15% would go to tribes that are not involved in online sports betting. It would also create a new unit within the California Department of Justice to regulate online sports betting, because it would be the first time it's been allowed in the state of California. In terms of the fiscal impact, it would impact state and local government revenues and costs, but according to the Legislative Analyst's Office, the size of the effect is uncertain. And so rather than getting to the details of their analysis, I'm just going to say that its impact is uncertain. There would be some short-term increases, but potentially long-term reductions. Here's the argument in favor of Proposition 27. By taxing and regulating safe and responsible online sports betting for adults, people 21 years and older, it'll help solve homelessness and provide thousands with mental health care and addiction treatment. All the funding would be subjected to strict audits and oversight. Proposition will also benefit every California tribe, especially rural and economically disadvantaged tribes who don't own big casinos, because they'll get some of the funds that are raised. It protects minors and strictly prevents those from who are under 21 from betting. The argument against Proposition 27 is Proposition 27 is being promoted by out-of-state corporations in order to legalize online and mobile sports betting in California. 90% of the profits would go to these out-of-state corporations without creating any real jobs or investment in California. Also, they argue the proposition does not include in-person age verification requirements to prevent minors from gambling. They also point out that one of the proponents of this measure currently allows people 18 and over to bet in their casinos. It's being marketed, opponents argue, as a solution to homelessness, much in the same way the state lottery was going to solve our public education problems. And they argue that that didn't happen, and nor will it happen here. So, what would a yes vote do? A yes vote would mean that licensed tribes and gambling companies could offer online sports betting over the internet and mobile devices for people 21 years or older on non-tribal lands in California. Those offering sports betting would be required to pay a share of sports bets made into that fund. It would also create a new state regulatory agency to regulate online gambling. A no vote would mean that sports betting would continue to be illegal in California, and there would be no changes in the way that gambling laws are enforced in California. This is an interesting one in terms of the recommendations. The California Chamber of Commerce, the California Labor Federation, and the Los Angeles Daily News didn't make a recommendation the last time I looked. But the California Republican Party, the California Democratic Party, and the Los Angeles Times editorial board all recommended a no vote. Thank you very much for listening. No more discussion of gambling.